I'm literally going to make a t-shirt out of the pattern.
That is hilarious. So, man,
Let's
have
rock
you
and
been
roll.
doing this?
Great. Thank you for asking. Really
Yeah, of course.
challenging, but like I'm an optimist and I'm a practicalist and like, and I'm also willing to go to zero. So, you know, just getting through it.
Yeah, it's funny. You've talked so much about this. The whole notion of, look, if you can rebuild, then a level of anxiety comes down. How do you think about that now as people are like that? That shit is real, man. How should people be thinking in this time?
Yeah, look, I think humility in I love empathy, right? I named the wine empathy, and like I'd be lying if I didn't say, and I always thought like that was the super word. And now I think I'm getting really addicted to humility, right? How do I think about it? I think everybody needs to realize like if you trade in your BMW, like don't worry that your neighbors are going to think that you suck. Like, just kind of like it's really that basic. Like, I hope that a lot of people realize they don't need much to live a happy life. Like,
Mm.
there's a ton of people that are happier. Of course, there's cabin fever, and of course, we miss people. But like, you know, I don't know. Like, I'll tell you one thing. I used to need to be in the room in every meeting. You know me. I love people, huggy, kind of like. But like, I'm excited that I'm going to probably see you 3 times more a year now because we're going to do this. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity in this time. And the biggest thing is I just think people need to lean into humility. Like we've got our self-esteem wrapped up into our business success, our likes, our followers, our comments, our things that allow us to flex. I'm just hopeful that people get into the reason I think I'm really in a good spot is I'm really okay with if VaynerMedia went out of business, God forbid, I'm just very okay with the judgment of the articles, of the comments on my social media posts saying, I always, even if the person thought I was a genius, I always knew you were a farce, enter. Like, learn to have a relationship with judgment and negativity and losing and find a place of happiness that is almost impossible for most people.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. So I assume you know who Andrew Yang is.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm researching him, shooting an episode with him today, and that was one of the things he talked about in a book that he wrote. He wrote 2 books before he ran for president, which I didn't realize. And in the book, he's like, the biggest problem with entrepreneurship is people are so terrified to fail. And he was like, until you find a way to institutionalize that, where you champion people for, pushing beyond that and doing something even after the fail. And he was talking about, it took him, so he had a company that failed. He said it took him at least a year to emotionally recover and to begin to feel good about himself again. And that to me, like when I think about this whole thing, whether it's you started a company and the company failed, or you just lose your job, so many people are tied up in what that means, how that looks. How do you help people unwind that? Like, is in a
by
social media
by
culture?
by making subconscious conscious. The reason I've been talking a lot about holy shit, if you come from shit, you have the advantage. Like I came to realize like me losing all the time, not being good at school, not, after 4th grade, not being good enough in sports, all that failing made me a fucking rock, and then I found where I was succeeding, which was baseball card shows, lemonade. It's like finding your place where you're winning, which allows you to be very comfortable in a place where you're losing, not overvaluing other people's opinions, really sitting here for everybody, D. Alexander, Gigi, Troy, Peter, Joe Booth, Zane, like really realizing, are you confident or are you insecure? And not being okay if, and excuse me, being okay if you're insecure and working on why. Like realizing your mom always told you you suck because she was in a bad place, which then makes it kind of like open up to you and then realize that you're not tricking anyone. I just did tea with Gary Vee an hour ago and I see a couple of them mentioned it. Like the whole episode was one guy and I was just trying to get him to understand all his actions are coming from deep insecurity. And the punchline, Tom, was you're not tricking anyone. Like what I find really fascinating about you, as I've gotten to know you through this half decade, is you have genuine emotional intelligence, and I think that is really powerful because what that makes me know is that you like there's a lot of people out there in entrepreneur land, and a lot of them are extremely real, and a lot of them are completely full of shit in a house of cards. And if I had to bet, if we sat down and laid out the 30 names, like who's real, who's fake, I have a funny feeling we would have very big matches. Whereas I think a lot of people who are not emotionally intelligent would be tricked.
Mm.
And I think the point I was trying to make to this young man earlier is you're not tricking the people that you want to have the actual relationships with. Winning with losing players is really not interesting when you're losing with winning players.
Mm.
And if you're authentically and own yourself, you'll always win with winning players if you just go to the truth of who you actually are and you don't posture. And so what I'm hoping that everybody does is learns from this time and stops trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I believe that people are flexing on social media to posture, to position themselves in a place of confidence or success. And I think most of those people deep down are not in that place, and they're using the medium. But I don't think the medium's the problem. I think it's been human behavior forever. Long before there was Instagram or Facebook, people were buying things they couldn't afford to impress people they deep down resented.
Yeah, there's so much truth there. One thing that you said that I think is really powerful, and I hope people hear in your message, is if you have insecurity, to not look inward and figure out what that is, to put your finger on it, to not try to run away from it. Even in your marriage, like to give an example from Lisa and I. So a recent strategy that we've started employing in our marriage is when you're arguing about something, I can pretty much guarantee one thing. One of the people has put a finger on something that triggers an insecurity of the other person. Now, because you have a presentation layer of being annoyed, being upset, and maybe you even have a right to be upset, you're actually only upset because they've triggered some insecurity. But if you can actually say it out loud, so this is what Lisa and I do. It's like, yo, when you said that, it makes me feel this way, which is crazy. And I need to think, oh, I'm insecure about this. Fuck. Like when you talk about that, like that really makes me, and I actually say these words. And
Tom,
because
go ahead, keep going.
I'm trying to understand my own insecurities. I know they're there. I know they're real. They're a part of what I call the physics of being human. It's like the physics of being human is 100%. And so if you
asked me to read something right now, I would dance like a ballerina trying to say it. I can speak in front of 200,000 people cold. You could say, if you could unveil this right now and there was 200,000 people and I could see them in micro, and I would have to give a keynote on, I would do it in a second and I would destroy it. If you asked me to read, if you were like, hey, read this, Gary, and it was 4 sentences, I'm like, Tom, no, let's get to Q&A. Like the people, like, who wants it? Like, I don't read at the Passover dinner, like the kids' little thing. I'm like, Moses, I'm like completely insecure because I don't have reading ability and reading comprehension. But, I'm with you on that. What you're saying is what I'm trying to tell everybody, which is the shadows of our lives are leading to the most unhappiness. The second you go naked, things you take back. I call it the 8 Mile rule. It's the last scene of 8 Mile. They go into the battle rap, and Rabbit, Eminem, loses the flip, which means he has to go first, and he takes all the leverage out of Clarence by exposing all of his flaws. It's why I don't talk about a lot of shit, Tom. My number one compliment on earth is every time somebody leaves a comment saying, Gary V, I'm done with you, you say the same shit. When I tell you that I smile from cheek to cheek, because I don't want to talk about things I don't know. Of course, my life will evolve and I'll talk about other things and tragedies and successes. Things will happen, but I stay in my lane because then I'm not in a bad place. I'm not vulnerable. I'm not posturing. Like, talk about what you know and own your shit. Like, I've talked a lot more lately about my ability to be unbelievably candorous in interviews and in content and on one-on-ones. But then with my own employees, I dance too much and I struggle because I don't want to hurt their feelings. I love them too much. And it's led to a lot of entitlement and a lot of people not liking me as much because I've stunned them with the firing after 2 weeks earlier, telling them everything was great. But then something happened 4 days later and it was the final tipping point of the last 2 years that they've stunk. But I didn't have the candor. And my brother, AJ, 11 years younger than me, came into the business 10 years ago. I mean, I had nothing in wine library. I was terrible at it. And then AJ came and I saw the value of it. I'm like, ooh, I need to get better at this. I remember telling him right away, he was 22. I was like, you're way better at this, but then I wanted to be great at it because I have all this great, kind of human ability, but without the candor part, It allowed me to be full of shit with my closest people. Outside here, I've dominated. It's why I'm enjoyed. There's the niceness and the candor, and it's worked for the people that it works. Inside at Vayner, I've gone from 0 to probably 7, which has made it a totally different organization. And I'm proud of that. But I'll be very frank, until it gets to 10, it's still going to have vulnerabilities. It's going to cost me money. I'm running a business. I'm sitting on people for a year longer than they should be there. It's going to cost me my reputation, because there's going to be somebody walking around saying, fuck that guy. Everything's good. And then he fucking fired me and my family was hurt, or, like it's something I'm working on. And me saying that here gives me back the control of that, instead of it becoming something in the shadows. And we all have to go there everywhere. It's like, expose your scar, show your burnt mark, like all of it I'm so proud of you. That's incredible that you do that. And I think those are the best relationships in the world.
Yeah, man, that whole notion of you're not fooling anybody, so all of my anxiety, 100%, all of my anxiety, so getting into business, as you know, I had no entrepreneurial instincts whatsoever. I'm constantly in over my head. Like I was constantly trying to posture as if I knew what I was doing, instead of just owning, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm going to learn faster than anybody else. I wanted to play the part. I used to dress like really nice, really professional. And the more successful I got, the more layers I began to strip back to how I really felt, who I really am. My anxiety levels started coming down because I wasn't faking anybody out. I finally believed that I could learn. And once I believed I could learn, I didn't feel the need to pretend I knew something I didn't. And so that notion of you're in a house of cards, you're trying to posture, you're trying to pretend that you are something that you're not because you think other people think it's cool. But literally, if people understand that is the thing you should be afraid of. It does not feel good. Your subconscious mind.
It never works. It is a non-sustainable model. You will break. And sometimes, and I've seen it at the highest levels, you break in a way that will break all of our hearts. We're talking suicide. You've become so fearful of it, you literally decide to check out. It is such a big deal. We have to, and I think this goes to the other thing I'm obsessed with right now, Tom, which is, can we redefine success as being happy, not making money? Like I'm so passionate about this right now. Like we all, especially the ones who have financial success, have to debate a level of responsibility to take away what is the thing that many put us on a pedestal, take it from underneath us for the better good of everyone, because we have to. If I believe this, I genuinely believe this. If we redefined, literally every human believed in 100 years that success, winning, was I wake up and I'm happy today, that we would have a huge game changer. And unfortunately, success is around stature, power, money, and we have to take the air out of it. We have to make humanity and kindness to each other and genuinely liking it the new norm. I think there's a chance we can do that. And I feel that sense of responsibility in me, and I'm talking about it a lot.
Dude, that's super interesting. And that notion of responsibility. So anybody who follows me know I prioritize sleep. I get my fucking sleep. But over the last probably 2 weeks, I'm in this weird cycle where probably 3 out of the 7 nights of the week, I'm waking up after 3 hours of sleep with this overwhelming sense of like, people don't understand. Legitimately, people do not yet understand that we're at the beginning of the pain. We're not in the middle. We're not at the end, like simply unlocking the economy and going back. There is going to be a very long time of struggle. And there are people for real that they're really going to struggle, man. And one of my former employees at Quest committed suicide, like, I don't know, a month before all this popped off. And I was at his funeral and just like, fuck.
Really? Just the other day?
Dude. Beyond gnarly. Yeah. Super, super recent. Thank you. And I'm there. His mom comes up and she's hugging me and she's just like, you don't know what you meant to him. His sister, his brothers, like everybody. And I'm like, but I didn't fucking stop him from committing suicide. So I'm in this zone of like, man, how the fuck do you really like not cool content, but for real? How do you?
Tom, you will go down in my life forever as somebody who said something during a piece of content that really resonated. I know you know where I'm going. When you said to me, my ability to not judge myself is my great superpower, you nailed it. And it's cool. I'm like happy that you have that for my own, because I like that kind of shit, because I like when I do it. Anyway, nonetheless, it's so funny that you just said that. I was like, you know, just kind of thinking off to the side as you were telling the story. I would not struggle with that because I don't judge myself. When somebody's in such a dark place, no matter how close you are to them, you know, this is my biggest point. Why value other people's opinions when nobody really knows each other?
Here's my thing on that. So I don't beat myself up over it. I look at it like I would look at a data point, not to dehumanize it, because there was the connection and all that. That's real. But now setting aside the what animates me in that moment is I have a data point. I tried a tactic. It didn't work. It didn't give me the result that I wanted, which was be for this guy and, you know, the other people that I care about to really thrive. And so I just want to know what will it take to actually deliver something that works? And because I'm so obsessed with that, like I have a goal, what actually works to get me there, and being able to face that, hey, this didn't work. So a story I've told a lot is I big brothered for this kid. It was supposed to be 8 weeks. I ended up big brothering for him for 8.5 years. And in all of it, I kept telling myself, oh, I showed him that somebody loved him. And that I felt so good about that. And that is worthy of feeling good about. But at the same time, it's now become a thing I have consciously chosen to hold on to, that I didn't save him from his zip code. And so for me to both say, I showed him that somebody loved him, and that's very important. But then to also say, but the problem hasn't been solved. Like the inner city is essentially grinding people up.
You know what's funny? As you were talking, I was thinking, this goes into this weird place I sit with, where the balance between confidence and humility. Like I genuinely, like, I think I might be the best person in the world. Like that's like literally in me. Comma, this is where it gets really interesting, because off what you just said, comma, I genuinely know I mean nothing. That tomorrow, God forbid, I get hit by make up something, a tree falls on my head, something less likely to happen. A tree falls on my head and I pass, that I would have an incredible, you know, 12, 18 hours on social. People would share their favorite clips, tell their stories. A lot of the stuff that I'm proud of, like the things I do that nobody knows about, would come out. He did this, my house burnt down, he paid for it. Like real stuff that I'm super proud of. And then in 3 weeks, that'd be it. And so when I hear what you're talking about, I have this funny relationship of genuinely believing I might be the greatest person ever. And in the next 40 years, the impact I'm going to have is going to make my birthday a national holiday. And knowing I mean dick shit, zero, nobody gives a fuck. And in that, it helps me with what you were just talking about, which is like, look, if you fucking leave it on the field for real, like fucking really leave it on the field, like if you just really try, this is far greater than any one man, one woman, you know, a group of people. It's just so fucking macro, but just fucking leave it on the field and fucking just leave it on the field.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that notion. So I'm not a big sports guy, but the way you see some of the greatest athletes play until they're spent. There's nothing left. And I have this huge, which I think you saw when you were at my house, I have this big painting of Michael Jordan from the flu game. And that is so inspiring to me. Like, that's where I want to be. Like, you pick your mission, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody, but you pick that thing and then you just go all in and really play. And that's why I keep waking up now so fucking early, is I have this sense of like, there's more to be done, that I haven't figured this out yet. And just really, I've created so much passion over this idea in my head that it gets easy to play out like that, to play so hard, to be so engaged.
It's super interesting. Martine Blazani said, sad and true. You've spoken about it a few times, like Prince and other artists that passed away. I actually don't think it's sad. I actually think it's a beautiful thing. It's what's so amazing about the world. I think we all need more humility, meaning like, look, the reality is like, I want to do such greatness that I always want to be remembered, because I love life so much. And I think subconsciously I realize that a legacy is like how you stay alive. It's probably why I'm so grateful that I was born in this era where I can put so much film on tape. I know, Tom, do you understand that in 103 years, somebody's going to be watching this exact moment? Hi, Rebitron. I think this is going to get weird. Hi, Rebitron. I hope you're enjoying the video. Like, that's amazing. And that used to be left for like Calvin Coolidge and fucking Edison. And just like, it's so cool that we have that now. We all get to have a true legacy. And I think what we do with that really matters. And are you really going to post pictures of your Lamborghini or of like your vacation with like models? Like, I'm like, there's so much good we can leave on the table. And by the way, I think sometimes people think I demonize fun for alpha guys. Like, I don't. Like, go do your thing. I'm an alpha guy. Like, go to Vegas and have the best time. Like, if you're single and you're like, have a mazel tov. Like, you want to go and show that you go to a spa if you're a lady and like show the glam life and do you, but don't do it if you're doing it to make yourself feel better, because actually deep down you're sad and you need this picture to make yourself feel better. Don't do that. And also know that we're building a whole culture that sees that and then starts feeling bad about themselves. It is why I'm very thoughtful about what I post. I do a lot of cool things. I travel fancy. I live fancy. You know, when I get the chance, you know this as a great speaker, like you travel around, like things are nice. If you know, like it's nice, but like to put it out there to make somebody feel bad, you know, I don't need that.
Yeah,
I need
no,
this. Man. I need this convo. This is the use of my 30 minutes because I'm reading Mike Phillips and Crystal Mays and like, can one thing, you know, somebody said, leave it on the field. I'm taking that with me today. What I admire about what you're doing, what I'm hoping other people will, my hope is that we get so popular that people say, oh, that's what I need to do. Not, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous. This is where I'm going. How do we make nice, fucking cool as fuck?
Dude, I'm with you. And I think this gets into going back to the physics of being human. What I mean by that is there are certain things that you'll be neurochemically rewarded for that will feel good. And when you get people that are living I've never heard it referred to, the alpha guy party, whatever mode, it's fun for sure. In brief quantities. Beyond that, I will say it begins to violate the laws of, you know, the physics of being human. There's no sense of fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from doing hard shit to improve yourself, to be able to serve other people as well as yourself. It's a fucking
disguise. It's makeup. It's fucking makeup.
To me, it's a bowl of ice cream. It's like, it is fun. Like, I have gone clubbing in Vegas and it is fun. But let me tell you, if that were the central thesis of my life, like there is a vapid sort of emptiness, not like in a judgmental way. The physics of being a human. What are going to be the things that really make you proud? Like, think about if you did something rad, you were in Vegas, all the strippers and alcohol in the world. And then there was one moment where somebody came up to your friend and was fucking with them, and you stepped in and were able to like get them out of that situation, or there was a fucking car accident and you ran in and you saved somebody from that. You're not going to think about the strippers. You're going to think about the moment where you helped somebody and did something rad, especially if it falls into your skill set.
And I think that story is amazing. And let me add one thing. It's literally happened when you thought, like put myself in that place, or you helped a lady get on the escalator. You don't have to, you know, like you're such a superhero dude and I like sports. like, you know, I'm not sure I got the balls to like save like somebody out of a fucking fiery car. You definitely do. But what I definitely have the balls for is when I see an older man drop his handkerchief, I'm not scared of the germs. I'm picking it up and I'm giving like literally in that stripper movie, hangover movie game, the opening the door for a lady when you go in for your fucking steak dinner, like chivalry and like I think the mundane daily nice has a shot. It's because I live it. I live going through airports and smiling at people. I had a person run back the other day to me. I was, you know, I thought it was like a selfie or something. It wasn't that. I smiled at them because I smile because I'm like people. And he ran back and he's like, "You made my day."
Whoa.
And I was like, this is the best. Like, this is where we have to get to. Like smiling. Like somebody, like I'm so programmed by the way I was parented of like good things, like somebody drops their bag, I want to pick it up. Like, it's just nice. It doesn't have to be the burning car. Like, just help somebody put their bag. I watch it. You know, when you sit first class, you get on first. I start working, but sometimes I'll watch people like not like I'm watching like fucking offensive linemen stand in front of an elderly lady trying to put her bag up, and like 6 out of 10 times people help. People are nice, but like those 4, my like brain, like I try to like climb over the person because I was like window because my back's fucked up, you know. So I was like window, like I try to climb over the person. Like, I don't understand. And so what goes through my mind is, if that dude, instead of like thinking buying Beats by Dre or wearing his Supreme hoodie or having a barbed wire tattoo was cool, instead if he actually thought grabbing this lady's bag and putting it up for her was cool, that's where the whole thing flips. And I think communication has always changed the world. I am absolutely obsessed with using my platform to the minimal scale it is. As big as it is, it's tiny in the scheme of what I'm talking about, which is 8 billion people adopting this truth. But I do think I can inspire a lot of people to use it because they see my success. And when they start to unwind it, it looks a lot different than the last 5 generation of alpha male success. And I think in that, Tom, and I see you being a beacon for this and others, I see something's happening.
Yeah, it is. It's a time where whatever ideas people have, they can at least spread through the culture very quickly. And I think I've said, like, I witnessed this with Quest. Obviously, when we started, it wasn't like we were trying to be slick marketers. I just actually, my family struggled with obesity, and so I naturally was marketing to sort of that type of person, somebody that needs community, needs to be lifted up and celebrated. And as we were getting more and more successful and people would ask, like, what was the secret? I said, hey, look, you're living in a time where doing the right thing and being a good person is the most powerful marketing vehicle ever. And you now have the ability to actually show people what you're about, what you stand for. And it feels good, man. Like, it just feels good to take care of somebody, to, you know, like you said, big or little, but to really think about, and this is my obsession. So even going beyond the, lifting a bag up for somebody, it's what skill set have you earned, worked your ass off to get good at, that now will benefit somebody else, right? So there's a great example. Toyota incentivized their employees to go in and donate some of their time. And so people went in, ladled soup at a soup kitchen. They were like, you know, this is rad and I'm glad, but anybody can do that. What is something that only we could do? And they were like, we're line efficiency experts. So they went in and they helped the soup kitchen increase their efficiency by 300%. And they were able to feed way more people on the same money. And they were like, dude, now we feel good. And
Tom,
that to me is.
That's why I put out all my best content for free. I know how to communicate as good as anybody on earth. I really genuinely believe that. And I'm trying to literally give out the blueprint for free. It's my biggest impact. You know, it's funny. Kay Terry said something like, it's amazing how many people, they pinned it up here. I lost it now. It's amazing how many good people I see do nice deeds like that. And I think we as a society, like, if we see somebody ultra attractive, like, I see people go up to that person. I see a lot of women go up to very pretty women in public and say, you're just so beautiful, right? I see creepy guys do it too, but like, you know, like, or, you know, people come up to other people and say they admire like a success. I'm wondering, like, when that, I'm just going to go back to the mundane, when somebody opens the door or puts the bag up, if like 3 or 4 people actually said to that person, like, hey, that's, you know, that's gonna be my takeaway. I'm going to verbalize when I'm impressed with somebody doing a small act of kindness. And like, I think that could become a behavior. You know, like people don't understand that behaviors change. This is real, what I'm about to say. It was only 40 years ago that it was common for men to whistle at pretty girls walking by. Common. Like real. That is incredibly rare now. I believe that in 35 years, people could cheer, not full out fucking cheer, but I think 3 or 4 people could be like, hey, that was really nice, bro. I think that could become a pattern. And I'm thinking a lot about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, being that you're such a voice, that's exactly how it changes, right? So you're saying this now, somebody in the feed guaranteed is now going to take this away. The next time that I go to help somebody lift the bag, or I'm the one that can't reach it and somebody else does, I'm going to be thinking of what you said, do that behavior because it makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I don't think behavior has ever changed at the pace that it changes now, because we have the ability.
There's so much information. Correct. You and I didn't have an audience. Like, this is gonna be watched 1 million times, amortized over a decade. Like, you know, we didn't have that level of audience. We were affected by Walter Cronkite. We were affected by, you know, like Life magazine, like Time, and, you know, the newspapers. Like, there's so many different voices that have platforms, which leads to a lot of weird and negative things. But it actually, and that's what we're focused on. Oh, now, you know, Nazi groups have emerged and this and that. I'm like, cool, but what about this half an hour? This wasn't fucking TV for anybody 20 years ago. What about the impact that just happened here?
church. Brother, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always rad to spend time with you. Glad you're doing well. Glad the family's doing well. Stay safe.
You too.
And same goes to everybody in the feed. Thanks, everybody.
Take everybody. Bye-bye, everyone.
Peace out.
Thanks, Tom.
You got it, man. All right. We out. Later.